everyone to find their seat.
They won't sit in the front row in church.
It's wonderful to see everyone here tonight. My name is Mary Ann G. I'm a member of the Transition Committee. And on behalf of the Diocese of El Camino Real, we welcome all of you here at our third of 4 walkabouts in search of the 4th Bishop of the Diocese of El Camino Real. Welcome. I would like to introduce right now, there he is, I would like to introduce the Reverend Bob Ott of St. John's Chapel to open us up in prayer.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray. We praise you, Lord, for this walkabout. Thank you, Lord, for every seat that has been filled here today. As we set out to fill the seat of our good and gracious Bishop, that will soon become vacant as she ends her time with us. Thank you, Lord, for blessing that time. Bless our time together tonight as we prepare for a new beginning in the Diocese of El Camino Real. Bless this diocese where we have exciting ideas, heavenly hopes, sacred visions, and expectant dreams that accord with your word. Bless our talented and gifted candidates who bring their ideas and hopes and visions and dreams too, for the good of the kingdom of God. You, Lord, alone can see in perfect detail what our new beginning together will look like. Help us each this evening to catch a glimpse of what that looks like, and then help us to work together with humility and a due sense of your will to accomplish the same. Give Lucinda, Deon, Janine, Shannon, Janet, strength and courage, perseverance and endurance to finish the race that you, Lord, have set before them. Take away any stress or anxiety that they experience and replace it with love and joy and excitement. And may tonight be even enjoyable. For after all, we're about the Lord's work. And for all of us, keep your love at the forefront of our hearts and minds and souls. Blanket us in godly peace. And may to you be all the glory.
Thank you very much, Father Bob. And also, please know that we say a great deal of thanks to you and to your entire team for the gracious hospitality that we've had here today, and also for everyone here at All Saints Day School. They have been phenomenal. So thank you very much, Father Bob. So I would like to thank a few groups of people before we get started today who have been very much a part of this process. First of all, to the Standing Committee, who has the oversight of the transition process from the very beginning all the way through to the consecration of our Bishop-elect in January. We'd like to thank the President of the Standing Committee, the Reverend Shelley Denny, Standing Committee's liaison to the transition team, the Reverend Catherine Dorr, and the entire Standing Committee. So if you are on standing, would you please stand? Our search committee did incredible work, going through many, many, many applications and through the dual discernment process brought us our 5 wonderful candidates today. We are so grateful for the entire search committee, including their co-chairs, the Reverend Barbara Miller, Mr. Joe Head, and their chaplain, Jeff Deal. So if you were on search, if you would please stand. And finally, the transition team. So we started our work in November when we were formed, and transition takes this process all the way through to the consecration of our Bishop-elect. We'd like to thank the entire transition team, and especially our co-chairs, Ms. Laura Learned and Timothy G. So if you are on the transition team, if you would please stand. There's also one item that has been a critical part of this process from the very, very first search committee meeting. And it is this candle. It has literally been a part of every meeting, every Zoom meeting, every conference call. And it has continued on through to the transition meetings. And will continue on in our process. So I'm sure it will be at the elected convention. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and it has followed us all of the way. Oh, and lastly, our shepherds, a critical piece of this transition process. Our shepherds are important to our candidates as they have literally been walking side by side with them from the moment that the slate was announced in early March. They are the liaison between the diocese and the candidate, and they really are the conduit to any time that a candidate had a question, it went through their shepherd to us. So we would like to thank our 5 shepherds, if you would please stand. So when you arrived today, many of you received a colored slip of paper. By the way, the words on those slips of paper are from our value proposition on the diocesan website, if you're wondering where they came from. That slip of paper indicates the room that you are to go to once we adjourn this, our plenary session. So for those of you, there are lots of us around with name tags, so if you require assistance, please grab someone who has a name tag and we'll direct you. It's actually pretty simple. If you have a yellow slip of paper, you will exit this door, turn to the right, you are very close. It is literally right here in the Child Development Center. If you have an orange slip of paper, you're in the library, you'll just go straight across, up these stairs here, and straight across and a little bit to the right. You'll follow the orange balloons, and the library is there. If you have a pink slip of paper, you will be in the music room. You will exit these doors, make a hard left, go up the stairs, you'll see a pink balloon. Make a left at the pink balloon, and then you'll see the music room. There's a pink laminated sign, and I know you all will remember all of that, right? Check someone with a badge. They'll be around. So once we are done with our opening session here, you'll have about 10 minutes to get to that room. And by the way, there's lots of restrooms all around the facility, so you should be able to find a restroom nearby where you are. Once we start our small group question and answer sessions, we will have 5 of them, as we have 5 candidates. Each of the session is 25 minutes in length. Each room will have a room moderator who will be asking the questions, and a timekeeper who will be there to help keep the candidates on track. We have asked our candidates to respond within a 3-minute time frame. So when 2.5 minutes have elapsed, they will raise a yellow card. When there are 3 minutes, they will raise a red card. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the Oscars. The music is not going to swell up. We are not going to cut off our candidates in the middle of their response. But it could, if they go long, it could potentially go into the end of their time. The initial hope was that after they complete their response to the 6 planned questions, that, by the way, thank you very much, because those questions came from you. In total, we received more than 80 questions that we had to go through. It really was a wonderful process for our team. So thank you very much for submitting those questions. The hope is that there will be time left at the end of the session to at least get 1 question from the floor. So be thinking about that nagging question that you would like to ask our candidates, because you might, or might not, but you might have an opportunity to ask them. We have instructed our room moderators that if there is at least 4 minutes left in the session, we have time for a question. And just so everyone understands, once the candidate has responded to a question, we will not be taking any follow-up. So just be mindful, we will be going on to the next question. So at the end of our 5 question and answer sessions, we invite you to come back here for a 30-minute hospitality time. And this is where you will get to meet and greet our candidates. Again, if anyone needs any assistance, please see someone with a badge. They'll be around to help you. And lastly, we ask you for your continued prayers. Prayers for our candidates, prayers for their family, prayers for the transition team, prayers for Bishop Mary, and prayers for the diocese. So with that, it is my great honor to introduce to you our 5 wonderful candidates. From the Diocese of Fort Worth, the Reverend Canon Janet Waggoner. From the Diocese of Michigan, the Reverend Deon Johnson. From the Diocese of Idaho, the Reverend Canon Lucinda Ashby. From the Diocese of El Camino Real, the Reverend Channing Smith. And from the Diocese of San Diego, the Reverend Janine Schenone. Welcome to all our candidates. And now, we are going to hear their opening statements. They're just going to pass the microphone down, and then I will come back and give you some final remarks before we break into our small group rooms.
Good evening. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving of your time and your prayers to this discernment process, which we feel so honored to be a part of. I would like to start by introducing my husband, Dr. Ed Waggoner. Ed is a professor of theology at Wright Divinity School. We have 2 children, Wynn, who is 16, and Ben, who is 14. And they are not here because it is that time of the year when they have exams. They would rather be here. I hope that you get a chance to look at the videos of these sessions online, because I'm introducing myself a little bit differently every evening. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about vision. The first night I talked a little bit about where my heart is for the church, and it really is partnering with people in our congregations and communities to change the world in the power of God's love. 2 nights ago, at the second Walkabout, I talked about my hair. You can ask questions about that later, or you can see the video, but that is also connected to stories of love. So tonight I want to just say a couple of things about vision. You all have laid out as part of your vision discernment and dynamism. What's the third D? I'll get it. Discernment, dynamism. I started with the last one first, so that's a problem. For me.
Dedication.
What?
Dedication?
Well, that one works. Dedication, yes indeed. For me, my vision for our individuals in our pews, for us as faithful Christians, is that our hearts are regularly touched in this fellowship by the Spirit of our loving, liberating, life-giving God. And then through us, our church communities are formed and relationships are built, and together we come to know God better. So that as a community, we move out into the world to share with them the gospel, the good news of the transforming, liberating love of God. A few years back, I wrote a blessing that for me is some of that, how that love gets spread out into the world. I offer it to you this evening. May God give you grace to try and to fail, to strive and to succeed, to dream the dreams of God, and to allow God to bring you to the fulfillment of those dreams, that you may flourish and the world may know God's glory. When that happens, my brothers and sisters, when it happens that we risk and we try and we fail and we let God pick us up and carry us forward, we are transformed. Our world is transformed. And I look forward to speaking with you more about that as we go through this evening. God bless you.
Good evening. My name is Deon Johnson. I'm going to begin by introducing my husband, Giovanni. I have to say, we have been enjoying the weather, and we got to get up this morning and go walk along the ocean. And it took me back to my childhood. I'm originally from Barbados, except that your ocean is a little bit colder. I don't think I was going to go swimming this morning. But it reminded me of a story of this little girl who, after a storm, is walking along the beach, and all these starfish washed up on the shore. She starts taking them up and throwing them back into the ocean. And an older guy who's walking by and says to her, "Why are you wasting your time? That's not really going to make a difference." And she bends down, she picks up the starfish, and she throws it back into the water, and she looks at him and says, "It made a difference to that one." For me, it's been inspiring to see how you are making a difference in so many ways across this diocese. Aside from eating our way up from San Luis Obispo, we've gotten the opportunity to see so many ministries and so many ways that you are making a difference in Jesus' name here in this inspiring diocese. And so thank you for being you. Thank you for throwing starfish back into the water and making a difference. Thank you for following Jesus the best way that you know how. And simply thank you for being here and being the church that this world needs right now. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Lucinda Ashby. I'm the Canon to the Ordinary in the Diocese of Idaho. And I have a huge job description. But the most important thing is that in order to faithfully serve the diocese, I'm on the road 50% of the time. It's big. What helps to keep me going is the fact that I have a wonderful husband, Bob. Who is my partner and my best friend. He's the person who reminds me that it's important and enjoyable to take great Sabbath time, and that the dogs love to play with frisbees. Between us, we share 3 adult children who live in Sacramento. I want to tell you a little bit about what is underneath and surrounds the skills and experiences that you can read about in my resume. I am the child of United Methodist missionary parents. And with my siblings, I was raised in Latin America and northern New Mexico. Así que afortunadamente hablo español e inglés con fluidez. So I'm fortunate to be able to speak Spanish and English. And I think sometimes I take that for granted. My siblings and I were raised in multicultural and multilingual environments. Here in the Diocese of El Camino Real, you have something that I really, really enjoy. Because as a missionary kid, I am fascinated by missionary movements and missionaries themselves. And so Bob and I have spent the past 25 years driving up and down El Camino Real, visiting and revisiting the missions. Recently, I read the biography of Junipero Serra, and I was this time challenged by something that really struck me, and I wondered, was the objective to be conquerors of souls or lovers of souls? I think the church is called to be lovers of souls, which is what I see you doing all over the diocese with the ministries and missions that we've been able to ourselves have a chance to experience and to observe. I hope you don't take the layers upon layers of multiculturalism, multilingualism that are part of your diocese. I hope you don't take that for granted, because in what you have lies great promise for the Episcopal Church. With Bishop Mary, you have come to a place of health, and with this health comes opportunity and innovation, which are qualities of the Pilgrim Church. The Pilgrim Church that is lover of souls, a place of lover of souls. So as we travel light, as we stay in balance, and as we aren't afraid to be lost, we embark on a pilgrimage together that promises to be an incredibly rich adventure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janine Smith. I'm the rector of St. Andrew's Episcopal Church and School in Saratoga. So we have a school much like this, a pre-K through 8th grade school. And I'm joined tonight by my wife, Mary Richards, who's a licensed psychotherapist. And this month is our 28th anniversary, so it's a big month for us. And she is joined by my daughter, Olivia, who is 5. And Olivia wants to make sure I share with you that this past weekend, she learned to ride a bike without training wheels. So by way of introducing myself to you, I want to tell you about my beginning in ordained leadership, where my call came from. In my local Episcopal church, there was a Bible study that was offered for teenagers, and I was curious about the Bible. I always wanted to know more about it, so I showed up, and surprise, surprise, I was the only teenager who joined the group. But the leader and I formed a really strong bond, and each Sunday we would work our way through the gospel stories, and we would share our impressions and our applications and how we would live this out, and really support each other in our faith and our faith development. And one day he asked me, he said, Channing, what do you think about doing after college? And I said, well, I never thought about that question, maybe going to sales like my father. And he said, well, I think you should consider the ministry. I think you'd be very good at it. So I took that as a compliment, something I was doing right maybe in the class. And later that summer, as I was reflecting on these scripture passages and really kind of dwelling in the peace of God, I felt a very strong sense of love come over me. And in that experience, I heard God say, you're called to be an Episcopal priest. Now, I had no idea that people experienced call-like experiences, and I thought if I told my parents, they would really want to kind of psychologically test me for hearing a voice or two. But I shared it with my grandparents, and they encouraged me to share it with my parents and so on. And it was from them that this whole experience started. My reason for sharing that with you is that my beginning point in ordained leadership started with the smallest church community of 2. It was the experience of where 2 or 3 are gathered together, I will be in the midst of them. And it also taught me that every conversation, every Bible study, every worship service, every pastoral moment has the potential for God to break in, to inform, direct, and redirect our lives. I hear that same sense of potential from you about our diocese. We say we want to be the church that does not yet exist. We've hired Kelsey Davis as our curator for emerging communities. We say we want to be a learning community. Characteristics we're looking for our next bishop: visionary, relational. This is a time for our discovery. A time for us to discover what God wants the potential for this diocese to be. My daughter Olivia, when she was 3, was sitting at the dinner table and she took a piece of bread and she lifted it up like this and she broke it in half. And she said, "Olivia." We looked at each other and kind of chuckled there, and she was mimicking what I do at the Eucharist, the fraction anthem, elevating the bread and breaking it and saying, "Alleluia." Only she thinks each time I say that I'm saying her name. What a wonderful mistake. What a wonderful mistake. She was reading her own story into that sacred rhythm of the church, into the sacramental tradition of the church, into God's unfolding story. This is a time for us to discover our place in God's unfolding story as a diocese. To know where we fit in God's unfolding story as a congregation. To know where you and I fit as we fulfill our baptismal vows. Where do we fit in that unfolding story? What's the role that we play? I look forward to being with you tonight, to experiencing how the Holy Spirit will break into our conversations, to inform, direct, and perhaps redirect our lives. It is a joy to be with you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Janine Schenone. I am the rector of Good Samaritan Episcopal Church in San Diego, California. My first ordination occurred many years ago in the land of this diocese at St. Simon's Catholic Church in Los Altos. And in my time living in Silicon Valley, serving as a manager and director in many roles, I also served the church for 25 years in a variety of leadership roles as Bible study leader, as EFM leader, youth group leader, choir member, and choir director. And at St. Joseph's Catholic Church, at the intersection of Church and Hope Streets in Mountain View, we would sing songs in Vietnamese, Tagalog, Espanol, German, Italian, and even English, because we were a very multicultural community. And then I became an Episcopalian, found my vocation, and have joyfully served in the Episcopal Church. But I have been searching for that multicultural Sunday ever since. I know other people who are searching for Sunday. I know people who are looking for a church that will love them, include them just as they are. I know tons of parents, young parents, older parents, grandparents, single parents, who want their children and grandchildren to have a spiritual upbringing, but they can't get there on Sunday because they're working so many jobs to be able to afford to live in this diocese. And so they want Sunday, but they're either going to get it someday or some other day besides Sunday. I've also met los asilos a la frontera, the asylum seekers who come across, led into our country to seek asylum, and they are exhausted and they are afraid. And when I've been there with them at the shelter, handing out money and food, and keep sending them money, by the way, food and water, occasionally I have an opportunity to speak with them in Spanish and bless them. Que Dios te bendiga. And I see the look change from fear to a distant hope that maybe they will find Sunday here, safety and Sabbath and love. And I've met many young and old people, seekers who would never say they're searching for Sunday, but they're searching for meaning and purpose in life. And it's the same meaning and purpose that you and I find by walking with Jesus. I'm on these walkabouts with you because I sense that you have the same search for Sunday, for that 21st century Sunday that I have. And so I look forward to our joint exploration together.
Thank you very, very much. All right, now it's time for us to break into our small group rooms. We have, our first session will start at 6:55, so you have about 8 minutes to find your room and get settled. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you back here at hospitality time.